How's it going, everybody? Fernando, the Lone Star Halo, joined by Rob. You guys might see him later, but for now, we get to hear his awesome Angels takes. We're going to talk a little bit about Kyle Hendricks and maybe the ripple effects that we'll feel from this move. All that and more coming up.
Hey, you are now listening or watching the Halos in the Infield podcast, sponsored in part by Noble L Works over on 1621 South Sinclair, where you can get discounts by just mentioning HITI, Halos in the Infield, drink discounts on us, baby. And also by 714 Tickets, 714 Tickets. The price you see is the price you get, and you also get 10% additionally off in the Apply Now code once you order your tickets just by mentioning HITI, Halos in the Infield. Now enjoy the show.
In the land of last shores, I play my part with the halos in the infield. I'll make my mark. I'm the Lone Star Halo, shining bright tonight. In a sea of rangers, I'll stand and fight with the halos in the outfield under stadium lights. From Texas to Anaheim, we'll soar to new heights. We'll soar to new heights.
Yes, this is Halos in the Infield. I'm the Lone Star Halo, once again joined here by Rob. Rob, thanks for joining us and talking a little bit about this move. So right out the gate, Kyle Hendricks has signed a one-year deal, $2.5 million with the Angels. No incentives. That is it. That is his piece of the cake. Rob, before we get into it, how are you feeling right off the bat about this move? What's your quick response?
I mean, it's not a bad move for us overall. You said it the best. I'll let you say your piece on that. Who you compared him to, but overall, we got to remember at the same time we're still the Angels who finished last place, and we're not really the most appetizing place to come to. So people might look at this as a loss overall, but it's a step in the right direction, I believe. I mean, I think I saw it right away. I think it was James Lou put it up there. I saw 4 to 5 right there. That's our number 4 to 5 guy in the rotation.
Yes, that is indeed what he said in our Halos in the Infield group chat. Now, originally, I had posted the news on our Instagram, and I had said, like, oh, how are you guys feeling about this? Everybody said we wanted pitching. This might not be what you guys meant. And, obviously, whenever people are like, hey, we want starting pitching, yes, you want the Corbin Burns, the Shane Biebers, the Walker Buehlers. You want the sexy names. You want you want those guys. Everybody wants those guys. That's the thing. But Griffin Canning was traded. We talked about that. We're going to obviously have to talk about it again because a lot of people are saying, and the common take right now, which isn't exactly wrong, is great. We traded Griffin Canning and we signed Griffin Canning. But here's the difference. Yes, they might be pretty similar right now for what they are. But the difference is Kyle Hendricks has proven to be a leader. He was a leader in the Chicago Cubs starting rotation. And also, this is a guy who, it was in 2016, but arguably was the best pitcher in Major League Baseball that year. He won the ERA title. He won a World Series with the Cubs, let alone the fact that he was a pivotal part of the success of that starting rotation. Can we say the same thing about Griffin Canning? No. With Griffin Canning, you were merely hoping that he was going to have a good year. Yes, we're hoping the same thing with Kyle Hendricks, but the difference is he's been there, he's been on the grandest stage, and he's succeeded.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. And he's been in more pressure situations, in a more pressured environment in Chicago Cubs who love their baseball, and they want wins, they want success. Yes, he's not going to blow you away with his fastball. His breaking pitches set him up. He's very much a Greg Maddux type. Now, yes, I understand I'm not calling him Greg Maddux, nor am I comparing him to how great Greg Maddux was. But he does show glimpses of that at times. You look at the years past, you see his ERA is lower. His wins-losses kind of hard to tell by because at the time it was the Cubs. He was going through transitional phases with that team because they won the World Series and then they blew the team up. right? And he didn't have the run support. You're seeing a guy with a 3 ERA with a lot more losses than wins, but that's kind of like how Tyler Anderson was for us, right? Or a good pitcher for the Angels. You saw them with more losses than wins, the low ERA. We're like, this guy has something here. Again, yeah, like you said, the best. We want Corbin Burns, we want Walker Buehler, but those guys want to compete and win, and we are so far away from that too. There's so many things needed that I think before those guys, or if those guys were even to sign with us, the Angels have to make a lot of moves beforehand to entice them to even come here right now. So overall, I think it's a good. I'm gonna put this on a rare W. Yes, of course he's gonna. I'm sure he'll get hit a little bit hard here and there because he's done that lately in Chicago with a low 80s, or excuse me, high 80s, low 90s fastball. You were bound to get burned by good hitters, but he does have those outings which were really good at the same time. He controls counts. He's at the best for us. He will eat innings. He had a couple of injuries. He had a lower back injury, a shoulder injury the past couple of years, which hasn't helped him along so far. But he's still 34. He's a local Southern California guy from Orange County. I mean, there's a lot to play for here.
Look, a lot of people who are saying, well, here goes another Angels move. I'm sure you've seen that take all over social media.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is when those moves were made for Matt Harvey, Trevor Cahill, Julio Teheran, those guys were supposed to come here and be the guy. When we got Matt Harvey, we were getting the Dark Knight. When we got Trevor Cahill, we were getting the Athletics Trevor Cahill. Julio Teheran had been the opening day starter for the Atlanta Braves, and he was going to come here and be the guy. This isn't the guy. This is a guy. So for anyone who's comparing him to Griffin Canning, the stuff mildly similar. I'll give you that. Look, his hard hit percentage is at the 87th percentile. So people hit his stuff hard. You know another guy who was hit pretty hard? Jared Weaver. Jared Weaver, I mean, it'd been a long time since he had blow you over kind of stuff. I mean, after what? About 2013, 2014, the get you over fastball wasn't a get you over fastball anymore for Jared Weaver. His last 2 years in an Angels uniform, he really had to rely on that 60-mile-an-hour curveball to set up that, 82, 86-mile-an-hour fastball. Kyle Hendricks has to do the same kind of thing. And you know what? There are some major league pitchers who are able to get away with that. Greg Maddux, as you mentioned, was never a guy who was going to blow you away with it. He knew how to place the ball. He knew what he was capable of. And honestly, Greg Maddux, to me, on a pitcher's mound, was very similar to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning beat you with his mind. Did he have an arm? Sure. He was never the best thrower in the NFL. He was always the smartest player in the NFL. Intelligence and knowing your stuff will always get you farther than having the best stuff. I truly believe that. Maybe that's a little bit of an old school mentality, but you played baseball your entire life. You faced a lot of pitchers. The guy who's the hardest to face is the guy that A, understands your weaknesses, and B, knows how to play off of their stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I like the comparison to Jared Weaver. Yeah, Jared Weaver didn't have that blow you stuff type of way, but here's one thing that Hendricks a little different. Weaver relied on his fastball and then used that the slider, the sinker, the curveball, and the changeup to complement that fastball. So he predominantly threw fastballs. I think if you look at Hendricks, if I'm not mistaken, I have to check it online to see. He's mainly a breaking ball, a changeup type pitcher. He likes that changeup. He likes that sinker. You're a little bit more technology savvy than me. I have to see.
I have it pulled up right now if you want to know.
It has to be his breaking stuff, right? That complements that fastball, and it has to be those two pitches. I don't think he has a split finger. That changeup might dive like it, but I think he mainly throws right changeup, sinker, and then that complements his fastball.
Correct. So his changeup he throws, at least as of last year, 38.7% of the time. The sinker, you're looking at 35.5%. Curveball, 13.1%. And he only throws the fastball 12% of the time. His fastball, he seems to only pitch on the down and away portion. And obviously, the bulk of what you're facing in the major leagues is righties. So that's really where he throws the fastball and the sinker. He seems to really paint the corners because his changeup, same thing, down and away to righties, but his curveball down and in to lefties, which does make sense. A lot of lefties are going to pull the ball, even if it is on the outside part of the plate, and they're going to kind of roll it over to the second or first base side because that's what lefties are taught. So
Yeah.
I've liked Kyle Hendricks for a long time. He's kind of always been my sleeper pick on MLB The Show. I'll always trade for him because his overall is like 82 or something, but he's what I call a cheat code.
No, he is. He is. Absolutely. I never would have guessed. I'm glad I didn't throw out numbers, by the way. I never would have guessed that percentages were that high. What are you looking that up on?
A baseball savant.
Okay. I got to look that up. Never would have guessed. I thought his fastball would have been a little bit higher, like 25%. I didn't know it was that low, but it does explain a lot of it because his high ERA games and those games he gets blown up. Like he got blown up against the Angels when we watched. He was hanging that breaking ball. He was hanging the changeup, and as we know, you hang an 84-mile-per-hour changeup from the heart of the plate right there. These big league hitters are going to see it and they're going to hit you hard.
Yeah. I mean, the good news with Kyle Hendricks at the current moment, I think the Angels have a pretty solid defense, and he is a pitch to contact type guy. I mean, you're not going to be a strikeout pitcher if you're throwing 86 miles an hour. You're just not. So
No.
I like this move. I think it is a good move. And here's the thing. For anyone who's complaining, same old Angels, guys, this is a $2.5 million pickup. And for $2.5 million, this move has the ability to make the team better. Now, if this was a move that was, I would say, honestly, anything over 10 million, anything over 8, I would have been like, I don't know if he's that kind of guy, but anything over 10, I would have said, this is a terrible move. But at 2.5 million, this truly is a very high reward. And what's the worst that's going to happen? You can put him in the bullpen as a long reliever. $2.5 million. Let's be honest. Be quiet.
Yeah, or he gets traded at the deadline. You're not in the race. He provides that sense of he's only $2.5 million, but at that time, whenever the trade deadline is, he's $1 million for a rental player.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of it's a good deal. It's a win-win in that situation. I get it. People are calling us honks for this take here on this, but you got to remember, we are the last place finishing team right now. Yeah. There's not many guys who want to come here. And the fact that this guy wanted to come home and pitch for his home team is great.
Yep. Yeah, and the fact that he's a respected veteran guy. Here's the thing. A lot of the times we hear that the Angels don't have any high character guys in terms of like true leaders. Say what you wanted about Shohei. Is he the most talented baseball player on the planet? Yes, of course he is. But I never got the impression that he was a leader. So, a lot of people say the same kind of thing with Trout. He's a quiet leader. And now we're seeing, Neto be a little more outspoken, Ohapi be outspoken. And that's great. But, they're not veterans yet. And they won't be veterans for another, 5 years minimum. Kyle Hendricks is. He's been there. These young guys that we already talked about ad nauseum the last episode, they will listen to a guy like Kyle Hendricks. What are you going to tell him? He's been to the big stage. He's made the big pitches. So this right here, in my opinion, great move. Why? Because Griffin Canning is projected, this is by MLB Trade Rumors, so take it with a grain of salt, somewhat credible source, sure. He's projected to get $5.1 million in arbitration this year. So imagine if we would have kept Griffin Canning. We traded him. Not only did we make the outfield better, but we immediately replaced Griffin Canning. So we're getting a cheaper version of Griffin Canning with arguably, I think Kyle Hendricks has a little bit more upside potential than Griffin Canning.
More experience. The experience is everything. You need a guy to be a leader, right? Tyler Anderson needs somebody. And we talked about this. If I'm the Angels right now, we're on Washington. I'm putting Hendricks and Tyler Anderson together in everything they do because they are very similar pitchers in a way. They don't have overpowering stuff. They rely on their breaking ball, and we saw Tyler Anderson have success with that. What's the difference between the two? One's been on the big stage of the World Series and actually won the World Series. The other guy's been close, right? Came close to the Dodgers. They didn't win, but he has that postseason experience overall. It's bargain bin shopping. Go ahead and call it what you guys want. It is. I absolutely agree. But when Fernando says it, 5 million to the 2.5 million, there's now more money to spend to go get that other guy that we need to go get a Tanner Scott, which is the guy I was talking. Oh, I was referring to, by the way, last time I couldn't figure out who it was. Tanner Scott in the bullpen. We need compliments everywhere, guys. It's not just this one move. Obviously, I hope it's not just one move. It could be for the Angels. That's the already way. However, we do need more than just that.
So so now that we've had our honks showing, let's maybe address the opposite end of this. Now, my biggest issue with Kyle Hendricks lately has been his ability to stay on the field. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So his best season, as I mentioned, was 2016. 16 wins, 8 losses, a 2.13 ERA, and he pitched 190 innings. He has only surpassed that one other time, which was in 2018, when he got 199 innings pitched. But that season, he was only 7-5 with a 3.03 ERA. Of course, that's respectable. Now, let's not go that far. Let's just talk about 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. Okay, so 2021, 14 wins, 7 losses, 4.77 ERA. And in that season, he pitched 181 innings. 2022, 4-6, 4.80 ERA, only 84 innings pitched. So that's definitely a bit of concern right there. 2023, 6-8, 137 innings pitched. And in 2024, 4-12 with a 5.92 ERA. Obviously not ideal. And only 130 innings pitched.
Which I did not know his ERA was that high for last year's season, because I watched that last game that he pitched against the Reds, and he looked pretty good. He put on a showing, right? I mean, the Reds were still kind of in the playoff hunt. Not in the playoff hunt, they were out. I was just watching the game, I guess, because I think the Reds are a good team. There's some good young hitters and everything. And I thought he dealt. I mean, I'm not sure. I think he gave up a run or two, but overall, he's the type of guy that keeps you competitive in the games. I mean, of course, when you're failing, you need your coach to come out, get you and come bail you out, right? There was times I don't think the Cubs had anybody to do so. So you leave him in there because you got to eat innings. And at the worst case scenario for us, he's a guy that eats innings for us too, right? He's a guy you can go out there and just, hey, keep the ball down, keep us in the game relatively somewhat there. But I don't know. It's just not – it's not the big splash we're looking for overall, but we need this. We need a number 4 guy. We need a number 5 guy. I mean, unless you guys want to go through the roster again and we looked at the minor leagues, who we have, want to see Jose Suarez go out there and keep dealing the same old BS we've been seeing, or you want a guy like this who has shown the potential in the past to go ahead and be a great pitcher, be a number 3-4 guy for his ball club and win when he can, and just be that kind of a stop gap guy here and there.
Yeah, obviously, I still think the Angels need to add at least a number 2 in the rotation. Number 1 would be great. You know, if you're going to go out there and get a Max Fried, a Shane Bieber, you know, those are guys who can be number 1s in the rotation. I don't think we're going to get one of those guys to come here in Anaheim at the current state. You know, you said it yourself. You know, you're not going to get a guy like Max Fried here unless, you know, you add Juan Soto and you trade Taylor Ward for, I don't know, Patrick Wisdom, you know, from the Cubs. You can get a third baseman here, you know, because then all of a sudden we're talking about the Angels actually having a pretty decent team. You know, maybe that's when you attract a guy like that. But I think we're going to be more in the tier 2 kind of guys. Maybe you can get a guy like a Walker Buehler, maybe, because something tells me that Walker Buehler is going to do it all for the money. I think he's going to stay with the Dodgers, but that guy wants to get paid, right? He won his 2 rings. Most guys are pretty set after that. You know what I mean? You know, I got my ring. I just want to get my money now.
I think I don't know if Buehler goes back right now, because if you look at the rotation, I'm looking at it right now, and I see if Glasnow's back. So you have Glasnow, Yamamoto, Ohtani is expected to pitch there, right? You have Dustin May still in there, coming back at some point in time too. You have Gavin Stone, Bobby Miller. There's the rumor that the new Japanese pitcher
Rocky Sasaki,
yeah, he's coming and he wants to be a Dodger. So at that point, that gives you 7 to 8 guys. How can you afford a guy who's probably going to want $20 million plus, who has arm injuries in the past? Now, granted, it's a bad advocate to say, let's go sign this guy now, right? But he's a type of guy that the Angels wouldn't need. I mean, the Dodgers, it's too much risk, no reward in that. And then if they're out actually going after a Juan Soto type, you can't afford to spend this type of money on a guy here. And the one big question is too, are they loyal to Clayton Kershaw? Do you resign Kershaw there again too? I mean, there's a lot they have going on. I don't know if he takes a pay cut to stay there. I don't think he would do it. And then at the same time, there's Jack Flaherty. Are the Dodgers resigning
I
him?
forgot about Jack Flaherty. Yeah, I
So you
think
go
he for
ahead.
sure stays there.
Yeah, so that's a childhood team, right? He grew up in the local area, Simi Valley.
Yeah,
Um,
and Dave Roberts had claimed that Clayton Kershaw was going to be a Dodger for life. So unless he knows something we don't, like he's going to retire, which I don't think so,
no.
I think he's staying.
Yeah, so I mean, you take that into account right there. I mean, that's a lot of pitchers there, and I don't see where Walker Buehler fits in the big grand scheme of things, especially since the Dodgers got by with the bullpen this time, but Trinan's a free agent. There's a couple other guys you got to fill gaps in, and they want to get paid.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess the good news for us as Angels fans is at some point here, the Dodgers are going to hit some kind of jam. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're getting to the point where they have to make some tough choices. And even the young guys they have, they're Dustin Mays. Those guys are going to start hitting arbitration. And yeah, maybe he won't get as much because he's been pitched lately. But, at some point he is going to start commanding some money. And, when he's good, when he's healthy, he's good. Walker Buehler is probably going to walk away.
Gosselin. What about Tony Gosselin? They have him too. And he was last year, you're talking Cy Young.
Is that Baseball Jesus?
That's the cat guy. Yeah.
The guy with the long hair?
Yeah.
Is that him? Oh, okay. Okay.
So,
I was going to say CrossFit Jesus, but that's Seth Rollins.
Yeah. I mean, you put that all into account. I don't see where Buehler fits in that whole thing there, let alone if they don't go after Corbin Burns.
Yeah, that's fair. You never know with the Dodgers, and then what are they gonna do once they sign Juan Soto?
Yeah.
At this point, anybody who's a free agent is gonna be a Dodger in my mind. So
yeah, until we'll see if MLB clamps down on this all. But yeah, at the end of the day, I mean, what is there right now? There's Burns, Snell, Fried, Flaherty, Evaldi. He opted out.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's a big loss potentially for Texas because I could see the Texas Rangers being competitive next year because I mean at some point the Astros are getting closer and closer to their window closing. We've been saying that for years, but if Alex Bregman does indeed leave, their window does get a little tighter. They have nothing in the farm system. Their time is for sure running out. Even if Bregman stays, their time is running out very, very quickly.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. I agree.
So, well, all that to say that, I think if I'm the Texas Rangers, I do whatever I can to A, keep Evaldi, or B, sign one of the other top tier guys because this is potentially your division to take next year.
And yeah, with the division up for grabs too. I mean, we're banking on Houston get off to another slow start. This move for the Angels, you got to remember, a lot of these big bats are gone, right? We're looking at the Correas are gone. Altuve's, I think he's struggling ever since the buzzers don't work anymore. Springer's gone. I mean, you're going through lineup by lineup. Yeah, Texas has a lot of pop, a lot of power. There's still Seattle does too, but Seattle ended up choking a lot in the end. So there's a chance here. It's going to take little steps and little role players like a Kyle Hendricks to make a difference. It's for the bigger guys to come in and step up in between there because any good team who's made playoff has had a guy like this step in for them, win quality games, but not be so overpowering where you're getting, we don't need 20 wins out of you, but I need these at least 8 to 10 quality wins from you to keep us within this race. And Griffin Canning was not giving that to you year after year.
Absolutely not. No.
Hendricks has the opportunity to do it. Granted, we've all talked about too, especially in the chat. Yeah, watch Griffin Canning go be a Ronaldo Lopez, right? And then be a Cy Young type guy. But I don't see it happening personally. I think his mechanics are a little bit different, and it's going to take a lot of work to break it down. But nothing's impossible.
So I asked you last time. I'm going to ask you again. Do you think this move moves the needle a little bit in a positive direction yet again for the Angels? This isn't the move, but is this a move to help?
This is a move to help because the Angels very surely, if you look at what we have now, starting pitching wise, they could have just said, you know what, we're fine. We don't need to add anybody else starting pitcher wise. Yeah, we want to add an ace and everything. This guy clearly is not the ace. I hope to God this guy is not the ace in their mind. Oh, we went and got him.
A starter.
Yeah, hopefully we get somebody else in between, but also this is the same team who thought Patrick Sandoval was the opening day starter, and I watched him in spring training live. I'm like, he needs some major help right now, and he's not looking good, but he still got that nod. But anyways, if you look at that active roster right now, dude, they could have easily just said, hey, we're going to bring up Caden Dana. We're going to go Reed Detmers. We're going to bring up probably resign Suarez. Silseth will be back by then to Soriano, and we're just fine. Let's go ahead and roll with these guys, and we'll make a difference with that. But they didn't, right? You're going to have Tyler Anderson probably one right now. If you had to go with it, let's go through the roster if you don't mind real quick. You go Tyler Anderson one right now. I go use Silseth 2 right away off the bat, and then I would go right now Hendricks 3 as number 3 guy. I know they want Jack.
You'd put him over Jose Soriano, assuming Soriano's healthy come spring.
Soriano is a reliever, right? He's stepped into a role, great team player. He pitched well, but you can tell longevity got to him after a while. I mean, he did good for us. Don't get me wrong, didn't do bad, but there was times like, God, you can tell this guy's just a reliever. You know what I mean? But he's stepping up for his team.
Look at Ronaldo Lopez. I mean, he was able to get it done through the course of the season. Do you not at least want to see Jose Soriano take another stab at it, considering the fact that he was pretty good for the year?
No, he was, but look at our bullpen. We need him back there. We need someone to get to. We got to get to Joyce, right? Who's getting us to Joyce right now? We got to see if Robert Stevenson comes back healthy. What state he's in at the time when he comes back? We hope
Jose Quijada was helpful.
Jose Quijada, at the end of the day, is still Jose Quijada. He's like a Jose Suarez, right? In my opinion, at all. He will blow it. We haven't seen Sam Bachman in quite a while. We don't know if Hans Kraus is going to be the same Hans Kraus as last year. We hope it to be, but at the same time, he gives me Jimmy Herget vibes. Good one year, bad the next.
That's fair. Yeah, so there's still some moves that need to be made in the bullpen, and I'm sure there are still some moves that will be made in the bullpen. We haven't even seen that even close to being addressed at this point. So time will tell on that. Now, so far, the Angels, I think it's fair to say, have been the most active in Major League Baseball so far. Of course, the offseason is still young. When it's all said and done, I really doubt we are going to be the most active. But it's been very encouraging so far. I mean, we've added to the infield depth already. We obviously made the trade to improve the outfield with Soler, and now we've made this signing to help the starting rotation a little bit. So we'll see which way they pivot now, but I am definitely excited to see what the Angels are able to do to continue this offseason. We're about a month away from the winter meetings, a little bit less. So we'll see what comes out of the winter meetings. Last question I have for you. Do you think the Angels make another move in the next week, considering, that they've been so active thus far? And do you think we're maybe getting near the end of what they're going to be doing? Keep in mind, I didn't ask if you were hoping. I said, do you think?
Right now, I think we might be nearing the end. It seems like we might go, which I hate to say. I know they said they're looking for an infielder, but they're picking a lot of guys off the waiver wire. They said they're going to be active there. I hope and pray that they are not going to go after a big guy like a Juan Soto or an Alex Bregman and pay all into that. Granted, as nice as it would be to have them, we had Shohei Ohtani here. We had that type of player, and it didn't work because we're missing so much in between those guys. And to go to say that as much as I want Adele to be the answer, as much as I want Mickey Moniak to help us out too, there's still a lot of questions there in that outfield. The infield's coming along slowly. Nolan Shanwell, Christian Moore, Neto, but who's third base? Rengifo, we hope to come back, but is he going to be healthy? Yep. Can he stay healthy for us? Ohapi's got the dish locked in. It all points to one thing and one thing only, pitching. And we need to make a big splash early and make it often. And if it's going to happen, it has to happen before these winter meetings. You don't want a guy to set the tone that's better. Let's say a Corbin Burns goes out there and sets the tone, and you're trying to sign a Shane Bieber or all that stuff. I mean, you have to get Shane Bieber in there now. You get him hopefully sign a Blake Snell if you want, a Jack Flaherty. Blow these guys away with an offer. It'd be cool to see if we could maybe get a deal on Max Fried. Hopefully he likes Perry enough. But my big thing, I say they're not done yet. There's a starting pitcher splash to be made. And from there, hopefully you attract a guy like a Max Scherzer or somebody who wants to help make a difference, because those guys have gotten paid. I hope that those guys can come and see, hey, do I still have it to make a difference here on a team? And I can help a team like this, because not too long ago, Alex Cobb said the Angels have something brewing here if they can just put a couple little things together. We all know he meant pitching.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you think about this?
About what your
Is
your
this it
takes?
for us, or do you think we're gonna? No. Screw my takes. I want to hear your take on it all.
I think that there are still some moves to be made. I agree with what Perry had said about wanting to bring some infield, but he did say that he's talking in terms of depth. Honestly, I would like to see a major piece added to the infield, hopefully a third baseman, but I want like a 1 or 2 year deal. Do we have Christian Moore? Yes, but here's a crazy idea. For once, let's draft a highly touted guy and let him take his time. You know what? So that's what I'm saying. Sign a guy, give him 1 year, and if you want, give him a club option for the second year. So all of a sudden, we gave him what, 2 months?
We didn't bring him up last year after drafting him. We gave him time.
Yeah, and then he got hurt, but he did have, I guess, 3 days where he could have come up. It was, it's just, don't rush the kid. You know what? Let's let him take his time. Yes, I get it. I'm excited for him too. You know what I mean? I was in the building when he got drafted. I am forever immortalized in Angels history. When people go on YouTube and they type in Christian Moore, you'll see me going, yeah, number 1. So I'm excited for the guy to come up. I loved seeing the highlights of what he did in Inland Empire for those, 2 games. And I loved seeing him bat, almost 400 with Rocket City. I'm excited for the guy too. But hold your horses. Let's just leave him down there for a year. And, let's sign, I don't know, Willie Adames. Let's sign, I don't know, Ha-Sung Kim. Yes, Willie Adames is much better than Ha-Sung Kim, sure. But I'm just saying, maybe get one of those guys for a year. And you give an option for a second year. You know what? You give him a bag. and you know what? Those guys can help make the other young guys better. And you have some protection for what Anthony Rendon breaks his hand going to 7-Eleven and giving his daughter a slushie. You know what I mean? He's using the slushie machine. All of a sudden, all of his fingers break. He breaks 12 of his 10 fingers. How did that happen? Who knows, Rob? But he found a way to do it. So, my point is Rengifo might be good protection for that, but then we need a second baseman. So that's why we should sign somebody off the bat.
You sound like you're leaning towards that Gio Urshela at this point in time, because that's a guy who can fill in multiple positions, play first, play second,
you know what? Third. Great. I'd be okay with Gio Urshela. He had a pretty good run here before he broke his pelvis.
No, he did. And then he met the training staff of the Angels.
Yeah, exactly. He broke his arm getting Chef Boyardee from the kitchen.
So I'm going to the take, it's a good take on Moore, but I'm going to be devil's advocate. If you keep Juan Soto down, as he Juan Soto today, did the Washington Nationals win that World Series? When you got to let these guys, if they're ready, you're just wasting time, right? Down there, right? He's not there to just waste time. He's dominating Double-A. He dominated Single-A, rookie ball. Went to High A, dominated there. Went to Double-A, dominated there. What's the next step? You got to bring him up, right? Let's see what he has. Let's see in spring training. If he dominates in spring training, how do you not start that clock and bring this guy up? If the whole thing is to wait for these guys and let them develop more and more, why are you signing a Kyle Hendricks right now? You know what I mean? Why do you still have Mike Trout on your team? Trade these guys away. Don't go after these guys. Go for some younger development talent. I get it. You got to get through the season. Got to keep your fans happy a little bit. But I'd go for a guy like a Luke Molly or something like that, or to go fill our little stopgaps, or who else is out there? Frankie Montas, or you know what I mean? There's other guys out there who can go ahead and fit in these little stop gaps for pitching wise for us if we're not going to do that. But overall, I think you have to go with what you have in your system. We don't have a minor league system itself, too. There's no need to keep him down there and waste his talents and possibly have him get hurt like he did this year.
That's fair. All right. Last question I have here. Grade this signing in your opinion. Obviously on a curve. This isn't an A+, but on a curve for what he's supposed to be for this team, give it 11.
For what we are and for what exactly. For what we are as the Angels, last place finish in the AL West. One of the worst records in baseball, right? We're number 3rd worst record in baseball or 4th?
Yes.
That taken into account, this signing here is a solid C+.
Okay,
and
I agree with
C's are
that.
degrees.
Hey, there they do. And as George W. Bush would say, C's can make you the president. So, hey, for all of our C students out there, you never know. That's what he was famous for saying. You never know, kids. Keep pushing through.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could be the president or you could be on an Angels podcast. Who knows? But,
Why shoot for the stars? Just go ahead and land on the moon.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you end up, being a fry cook at a Dairy Queen, then you know what? You did the best you could, kid. Keep going.
Yeah. Hey, I gotta harp on you, the Willie Adames one. Do you really think we have any chance? I don't. I mean, there's no way this guy's gonna make $25 million a year.
Yeah, I mean, I would love a guy like Willie Adames because that guy does make the team better. But if you get a guy like Willie Adames, I mean, you have to trade Christian Moore at that point, right? Because Willie Adames is what, short in second base?
Yeah, but he's what, 30 years old?
Yeah, so I mean, you got to either trade Neto or Christian Moore because I mean, if you're going to give Adames a contract, we're talking, I would say 3 to 4 years minimum. Could he play third? Did he play? Okay, did he play third base with the Brewers ever? I don't know that.
No clue on that. He just seems like an athlete who can do it.
Yeah, well, see, if that's the case, that's why I want a guy like Hassan Kim. I mean, at least he's a Gold Glover. Yeah, I mean, the guy's only like a 230, 240 batter, but so is Jorge Soler. So, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having some guys in your lineup to provide power if that is their role, especially if they're good defenders. I mean, look at Andrelton Simmons. Mm-hmm. He had, a terrible batting average with Atlanta.
Yeah.
Came over here, figured something out, but he was always one of the best defenders in baseball. So, you never know, right? People sometimes have a change of scenery and they figure something out. That's something we don't talk about often because most of the time it's the opposite. People come to Anaheim and regress, but nobody talks about Andrelton Simmons coming to Anaheim and for that stretch of 4 to 5 years, becoming one of the best shortstops in Major League Baseball. We don't talk about that enough.
No. And you know what else we don't talk about right now? Is the fact that Tyler Anderson, with a change in manager, became a totally different pitcher. And this is what Kyle Hendricks can be.
Yep, that's fair. I mean, so I agree with you on the C+. You've had some good takes today, as always. But this is definitely a move that I believe makes the Angels better, and I am definitely looking forward to seeing where we go. Those have been two very solid signing-trade thus far. Rob, anything else in closing?
No, man. Thanks for having me on again, and everyone hang in there. It's tough as Angel fans, especially with that Dodger blue flag waving everywhere around Southern California right now. But at the same time, small steps lead off to bigger things. In the end, the Dodgers, before they went on this little reign, right, they had small steps, small signings, and it led to bigger and better things. It's part of the process. It's not going to be something overnight. We had 3 of the best generational talents in baseball and couldn't do much. So take the small W's, even if it's an inch closer to the goal.
And if you notice, almost every single team, almost every single team that wins a championship is a complete team. And guys like Kyle Hendricks help create a complete team. No, I'm not saying this is a World Series team, not by any stretch of the imagination. But a guy like Kyle Hendricks could help get you closer to the playoffs and help these guys play meaningful games in September. I'm not going to say anything naive like this is a playoff team. It's not. Unless something drastic changes, it won't be.
Yeah.
But I want these young guys to play meaningful games. Forget in September, in August, because this team didn't play a meaningful game all year.
Mm-mm.
So
I agree.
take it with a grain of salt with what I just said, but this definitely makes the team better. On behalf of all of us here at Halos and Infield, thank you guys again for joining us. Follow us on all of our social medias. We would love to see you guys there for all of our breaking news posts and whenever our questions of the days come. Thank you guys very much and have a great rest of your day. Bye now.